When it comes to the affordable housing crisis, people think I'm totally insane. But let's just look at a simple statistic I can pull up from any Google search anywhere, and then you can't even argue with this. In 2011, the average American income was about $50,000, just a hair over. In that same year, the median house cost $214,000. That economic divide is even bigger now. In 2021, the median income has only increased $18,000, which seems like a lot, but it's really not when you look at how much the median house costs. The median house right now is $389,400, and it's expected to go up to over $408,000. It's almost $100,000 shy of $500,000 to buy the average home in the United States. If that's not an affordability crisis, I don't know what the heck is. So today we're going to be talking about what's causing the affordability crisis, because everybody likes to do a lot of finger pointing. But I'm going to show you the real facts of what's really going on. And I'm going to give you some solutions that I've come up with along the way. According to Keeping Current Matters and Black Knight, there are 6 states that are currently unaffordable and haven't been affordable for homes for over 25 years. That's Arkansas, Iowa, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, and West Virginia. So why are houses becoming so much less affordable? Well, there's a few reasons. One of the reasons is because of the start of the pandemic, the Fed went ahead and dropped the interest rates to historic low levels. And that increased the amount of people that were interested in purchasing, especially if they were thinking about moving out of the city to get more of a rural area, since they were working from home anyways. And many employers have even said they could work from home until after the pandemonium, the panorama, whatever you want to call it. So that in turn went ahead and increased the many people that were really interested in moving to more rural areas. And of course, that made rural areas that were generally actually pretty affordable become a lot more expensive, like 20 to 25%, especially in areas of Texas. Austin, Texas, I think is at least 25% right now. Because a lot of home sellers weren't really interested in selling during the time of a pandemic, can't really blame them, but it also caused the affordability crisis to blow up out of control. And it didn't help that home builders weren't building.
This report, though, came with a warning. Construction costs now up 12% from a year ago, not just pushing home prices higher, but NAHB's chief economist Rob Dietz said some builders are slowing sales to manage their own supply chains, which means growing affordability challenges for a market in critical need of more inventory.
So after the last housing crash in 2008, 2007, whenever you want to say it officially started, because there was so much speculative home building during that time, a lot of home builders lost their rear end and they were like, we are not doing this again. Instead of building 30 speculative homes, we're only going to build about 3 to 10. And then they would write contracts on new builds as long as they were holding a deposit, which ended up being a terrible thing during this pandemic because there were so many people that really wanted to get into a brand new house, or any house for that matter. Another thing that worked against the home builders was even if they wanted to build a home, they couldn't find the building supplies in 2020 as more shipments were blocked in all these ports. You know, I don't know if you know this, the ships actually have to sit in the harbor for 10 days before they can actually unload everything. It's like their own quarantine time, which is causing a major delay. And of course, as things get delayed, the supply goes down and then building materials start costing a lot more. Matter of fact, a home that used to cost $10,000 to frame up is now over $38,000 to frame up the same exact home, just because of the framing and how much lumber costs. It isn't just the cost of the lumber. It's still the cost of the roofing supplies. It's the cost of appliances. It's the cost of HVAC systems. Everything has increased. So a home that a builder would have sold a year ago for $200,000, with market conditions the way they are, they could be selling for almost $500,000, depending on where you live. Now, cold-hearted economists will tell you we don't have an affordability crisis, we have an affordable rental crisis, because they say that most Americans don't really want to buy a house. They want to rent, which I think is total hogwash. And their suggestion to fix the problem is to basically build more rental units and apartments for the average American to live in. Why is this okay to have middle America in rental units? not the American dream that I remember. So at the beginning of the pandemic, we already had a housing affordability crisis. There was already almost 8 million Americans that couldn't find affordable housing. And now that number is going to continue to grow as the home prices continue to grow throughout the summer. There just isn't enough homes on the market to satisfy how many buyers that are looking to purchase one. They still have been predicting that more houses are going to be entering the market, and hopefully that will drive the prices down. So I know a lot of people that are looking for more affordable housing options are looking for the answers in a housing crash. I've talked to many real estate agents throughout the country, and I speak to them every single Sunday. And every guest I've had on said, we are not going to be seeing a crash anytime soon.
The people that say it's going to crash, I'm like, based on what, right? Everyone is kind of predicting this 2007, 2008 to reoccur. And it very well might be, but it's not going to happen for the same reasons that caused it back then. It's going to have to be for entirely different reasons. You know, back then it was really easy to get into a loan. I mean, anybody could get into a house, and even people that couldn't afford the houses. The houses were being overbuilt, and then there was all the shenanigans going on in the secondary market. And that type of stuff doesn't exist today, right? I would say the last 12, 13 years, the lending guidelines have been super strict. It's probably the best book of business that banks have written and ever in history this last decade. So the paper is really strong. And there's not a bubble to burst at the moment. Like, there's not enough housing available. So, you know, to that point that the market is going to crash, it very well might, but I don't see what's actually going to cause it yet.
And at the beginning of the pandemic, I genuinely thought there was going to be a housing crash, but that's before the Congress decided to pass all these forbearances. And if you don't know what forbearance is when the mortgage company allows the borrower to take the payments that they would normally be paying that month and tack those on to the end of the loan. So they can extend out the length of the time that they have the loan with no penalty. So if you had a 30-year mortgage and you didn't pay your mortgage for a year, those payments would go ahead and be tacked to the end of the year, and there would be no penalty to you as a borrower. It's a great plan for someone that already owns a home, but if you were waiting for a big windfall of foreclosures, that isn't going to happen.
It's a flash headline, I would say.
So mortgage forbearance drops 4.36%. And this is another one from Housing Wire. And this is Alex Roja. The downward trend of borrowers in forbearance picked up speed in the last week of April, falling 11 basis points to 4.36%. That is the 10th consecutive week of decreases, and it reflects a faster rate of exits and a steady low level of new requests. But this is a great sign of people going back to work, either got a new job or are back from a furlough or whatever may have happened to them, and they're back to it. So those numbers declining is obviously a good thing.
As it stands right now, as of June 30th, 2021, the forbearance program through the government is supposed to expire, but they can still file for forbearance all the way up till June 30th. And even if they file on June 30th, they can still extend that out for another additional 6 months. With that being said, let's just say that these people didn't pay the whole entire year. June 30th comes around, they don't extend it, and they go into foreclosure. That process to foreclose on those people is going to take a minimum of 400 days, minimum of 400 days. And it can take months, even years for those to foreclose on. So if you're waiting for a big wave of foreclosures, it's not going to happen this year, and it's not going to happen in probably the next 2 years. So if that's the affordable housing solution for you, you may want to reconsider. So what are some solutions to the problem? Well, after World War II, they made a big GI Bill. They allowed for soldiers to come back from the war and be able to have a low interest mortgage to buy a very small home. And many GIs did. This is how a lot of baby boomers increased their wealth. And how did they build those houses so fast? Modular construction. And it was so popular then, even people were building houses from Sears and Roebuck. I've even talked about that on my channel before too. But now for some reason, people have a negative connotation of what a modular home truly is. And I'm here to tell you, it's no different than a traditional built home. They're built to the same specifications that you would get on a traditional built home. It just so happens that a lot of the pieces are pre-cut and put in a box and shipped to the house at one time, which is really great because you wouldn't have to have the building delays that it would take with a traditional built home. This would also be super affordable for home builders because they wouldn't have a delay on building materials. With a lot of modular homes, they don't even have to like put them together like you would a traditional built home. Sometimes they're already half put together, like the panels of the walls are already put together. So they're connecting them together almost like Legos. Again, making this a lot quicker for the home builder to put a house together. There's another type of home which is called a kit home, which is a traditional built home, and it's brought in by panels. It's very similar to modular, and it's built to traditional home standards as well. Again, this would be super inexpensive for a home builder to do because everything's done in one-stop shop. The other big cost of building a home is, of course, the land. So if an area was super serious about trying to find more affordable housing options, they could sell home builders some of the unused public land, or they could rezone a lot of the commercial areas that are not being used and haven't been used for years. And what if an area was able to rezone that and made it get residential and then put zero lot line homes and allow for these smaller modular houses to go in and use that space for residential affordable housing options instead of it sitting there vacant? It's a plus for the area because you're getting more tax dollars because people are paying property taxes. It's a great way to use unused space, especially in commercial areas, as more and more people are deciding to buy things from home and no longer traveling in their cars to get to residential storefronts. Now, there's one more housing solution that has happened throughout the United States, and that is turning old malls into condominiums. They have the space, they have the parking, they have the plumbing, and all they do is remake those storefronts into condominiums. Not only that, in some of these abandoned malls, they've gone ahead and made storefronts at the bottom, like Starbucks and dry cleaning for the people that are living in the condos above. So it's like a win-win. It ends up being a little microeconomy inside the mall. So as more malls fold up throughout the United States, it's not a bad idea to look at those and turn them into affordable housing options. But what can you do right now if you're currently looking for a home to purchase and you're having a hard time finding an affordable home? So HUDHomestore.com is one area that you can go ahead and try to find foreclosures in your area. Granted, some of these are going to be fixer-uppers, but because it's HUD Home Store, you will not be fighting against foreign investors or big corporations because they put a timeline for the regular person to purchase the house before these foreign investors and other investors come in. This will give you an advantage. And yes, they will take your offer and work with you first before they even give it to any kind of investors. That is a great place and resource that you should know about. Now, in order to get these homes, you're going to have to work with a HUD certified real estate agent. Most real estate agents are. If they're not, it just takes them a few minutes to fill out the forms and have their broker sign it, and they can be. Now, it is a contract bidding process. The timeline of getting these things done and closed is going to take a little bit longer, but at least you get into a house for a fair price. Another great place to find foreclosures in your area, and that wouldn't even be on the MLS or even Redfin or Realtor.com or any of those big ones, is foreclosure.com. Matter of fact, I actually found a great investment property for one of my investors on foreclosure.com. Now, just note that you're going to be competing with other investors that are looking at these foreclosures as well, but it's a great place to at least take a look at them. Even with my affiliate link to foreclosure.com, you get a discount for using the website, and you can use it for 30 days free. So maybe you can get yourself a house within that 30 days and you won't have to pay the monthly fee. I hope that's the case. That would be really good for you. And one more place you may want to try to find a home is to look through for sale by owner websites. Now, when you see a for sale by owner house, that does not mean you can't use your real estate agent to write up a contract and represent you in purchasing your home. Matter of fact, I strongly recommend you don't do that, because if the person that's selling the house has never sold a house before and you're the person that's purchasing a house and you have no idea what's going on, both of you are probably not being represented fairly and you have no idea what's in that contract. Your real estate agent is going to be able to put together your contract, make sure that all the disclosures are done, and you're protected all the way to the time of closing. Even if you're letting go of a lot of contingencies in order to get your house closed, I still would not do it without the representation of a real estate agent. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a real estate agent. I'm telling you because I've seen a lot of nonsense happen, and then people move in and then they find out the house has black mold and there wasn't anything you could do about it because you signed all your rights away because you didn't know what you were doing. I know that if you've been looking for a home for a hot minute right now, that for the past year, it's been very difficult to find a house. And if you do find a house, it ends up being like there's 14 bidding wars on it. And then the offer that has gotten accepted is usually tens of thousands over the asking price. I want to share a little bit of good news that I've seen whispers and many posts of agents saying, I can't believe my house has been sitting on the market for over 10 days. So it's already starting where people are saying, I'm not going to pay that much for a house. So that is a good sign that maybe some tides are turning and sellers are going to have to come back to reality. But like I said, those economists have been saying that the statistics show that it's still going to be going up, and the median price of a home is going to be going up to about $408,000. That still blows my mind. The fact that in about a year from now, a house is going to cost $500,000 for the middle American to afford is astronomically scary. But there is solutions. We just have to work together in order for them to happen. So what do you think is the solution to the affordable housing crisis? Let me know in the comments section. My name is Kristina Smallhorn, your real estate whisperer, and I tell you all this because good real estate information matters.